Thank you. That's fun. Thank you.
Mother, mother, there's too many of you dying. Brother, 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 there's far many of you crying. You know you got to find a way to bring some loving here today. Oh, Father, Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some loving here today. Oh, picket lines and picket signs, don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me so you can see, oh, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on. Mother, mother, everybody thinks we're wrong, but who are they to judge us simply 'cause our hair is long? Oh, you know you've got to find a way to bring some understanding here today. Oh, picket lines and picket signs, don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me so you can see what's going on, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on.
18th of January, 2025. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birth anniversary was this past Wednesday, and the federal holiday, of course, will be tomorrow. He was born 96 years ago and lived to be only 39 when he died by assassination. We revere him for his work in advancing civil rights and in the mid-20th century, and his legacy for the movement will continue. I'm Jarvis Gamble, today's service associate. I'm here with Reverend Tim Barger, the Toledo Unitarian Senior Minister. Jeff Maxey is our music director. He's at the piano and directing our First Unitarian Choir. Marcia Gamble will tell today's story. And today our Tech Bay has our producer director, Walter McGee, who's here almost every Sunday, and Julia McGee, who's acting president of the Board of Trustees, usually takes on some kind of general assignment. But today, Walter has convinced her to be a camera operator. So our member, Eric Sills, whose day job is a recording engineer, is our operating the soundboard. Eric was instrumental in setting up our video presence initially in 2020 during the peak of the pandemic, and we're glad he's returned to help us today. With largely a different tech crew, there might be some things that don't go quite as smoothly as usual, but we'll have a good service, I'm sure. And there are many more church members here helping today, greeters in the lobby, religious education helpers for today's RE services, and we have our kitchen crew led by Carla Logan Mercer. While we're talking about people contributing on Sundays, let me ask you to consider taking up audiovisual duties once in a while, or being a service associate like I'm attempting to do today. There are other opportunities with religious education and greeting and ushering. For tech, Walter will train you, and it's a good way to help Toledo Unitarians get our message out. So if you're interested, please talk to Walter McGee after the service. For service associates or other volunteer activities, contact Reverend Tim. I have a couple of points to make. If you have an electronic device, please turn it on silent or vibrate, including any notifications your phone might receive. We're asking you to minimize the sound, but we also invite you to bring the light. We have candles at this table in front of the pulpit, and you're welcome to light them for your personal joys or concerns anytime the music is playing during the service. We're a church with no official creed, and our only doctrine is love, the power that holds us together and the center of our shared values. We welcome everyone as we sang in our opening song. If you're a visitor, you may notice in the pew rack in front of you a bookmark with some details about our Unitarian Universalism. Feel free to take one with you. There's also a yellow card that you may use to introduce yourself to us. If you include your email address, we'll send you a weekly email with news of various church activities. As you meet people today, feel free to introduce yourself and ask any questions you may have. We also welcome those of you who are joining us virtually on our Toledo Unitarians YouTube channel, whether live or this morning or later when you tune in. We hope this time serves your spirit.
Hi, I'm Reverend Tim. And let me add the Jarvis as well. We've entered a cold spell in Toledo, and I'm grateful that so many of you have chosen to come to services today in person. It helps to be in community that way. The flame of the chalice that we light in our services symbolizes courage and illumination and honors our search for truth and meaning. Let's all say the words for chalice lighting together. They'll be on the screen and in our order of service as Jarvis lights the flame. Our chalice has the spirit of Unitarian Universalism. We light it centered in love. May it glow with sacredness and shine for each and for all. And let's continue reciting together with Jarvis leading us in the covenant of our congregation. This is not a creed, but what we share with general agreement and what we as a religious community work toward.
Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is the sacrament, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
In this first of 3 intentional times of spiritual practice in our Sunday services, there can be other times that might help you, including your own candle lighting, but these 3 are for the full congregation. We look beyond ourselves, considering celebrations and sorrows and the state of things. Jarvis said that this is Martin Luther King Jr. Sunday, happening between his birth anniversary and the federal holiday. It's also the day before the presidential inauguration. And the sermon is more in that direction, to today and how we might move through the next few years and take care of ourselves, as well as those whose needs, backgrounds, and challenges mean we must try to help progress with us. I said 2 weeks ago, and I'll repeat it today, that the world will be tough enough. So please, let's continue to have First Unitarian be a place of welcome, of grace, even of refuge from hard times. And that in this liberal religious community, we can help one another, care for ourselves, and have our part in changing the world. At this time and always, please have mercy, be kind, give dignity, and show compassion. And remember to breathe. One reason we join in religious gatherings is to realize common links. The uncommon is here too. Let's be together in faith, hope, and love, physically and in spirit. Amen. And now please join in our opening hymn, number 1028, The Fire of Commitment. For you who are willing and able, please stand.
The Journey of the Birds by Juliet Donaldson. It's inspired by the ancient epic poem, The Conference of the Birds, by the Persian Sufi Muslim writer Feriduddin Attar. This story is about many kinds of birds, but there are two birds referred to that it's helpful to know a little more about. One is the hoopoe, a beautiful, colorful, exotic bird native to Africa, Asia, and Eurasia. The second is the simorgh, a huge, benevolent, kindly bird of Persian legend, credited with possessing great wisdom. Now to the story. Once upon a time, all the birds in the land decided they needed a leader. A leader, they thought, would make their community stronger. Representatives of all the birds gathered together to discuss finding a leader. A leader will tell us the right things to do, said the robin. Our leader must be wise, said the owl. A leader must believe we each are important, big and small, said the sparrow. I want the leader to be caring, like a friend, said the dove. Yes, the leader will help us share and get along better, said the jay. The leader must make us feel safe, said the hawk. I know where you can find such a leader, said the whopo. It's the simorgh, and it lives far from here. The birds were very excited. They said they were willing to go anywhere to find such a leader. It might be dangerous, said the whopo. A few birds looked troubled, but all the birds voted to go and find the simorgh. The hoopoe took off, and all the birds followed. They flew in sunshine. They flew at night. Days and days passed. Some birds got tired and left the group. Other birds were filled with doubt. How did they know the simorgh even existed? Only the hoopoe had ever heard of this bird. Some of the doubters dropped out, but others kept flying. One valley was filled with a fiery mountain. All the birds were afraid. I'm too small to make it over that mountain, lamented the sparrow. No, keep flying. We can make it together. We will help you. And they did. The strong flyers helped the weak flyers. The birds with good vision helped find food for the group. Along the journey, the birds learned how to better respect, share, and care for each other. It seemed that every bird had something special and unique to offer that made the journey easier. Finally, the whopo announced, "We are here." The other birds looked around in anticipation. "Where is the simorgh?" "We don't see it," they cried. "Come, it's over here," said the whopo. The birds stood beside the whopo and realized they were on the edge of a lake. They looked in and saw their own reflections. Then they understood. The simorgh was not another bird. The simorgh was all of them, and all of them were the simorgh. They remembered that each of them had something good and strong and special inside of them, and that each bird had gifts to bring to the community. They were all that was needed to keep the community strong. They knew now that together they could do anything. Any children who are here this morning can follow me to the classrooms.
For the second spiritual practice time of focus in our Sunday service, this opportunity for meditation, contemplation, and prayer, I bring Life Goes On, a meditation by Howard Thurman. With the help of Wikipedia, I can tell you that Howard Thurman was a minister, author, educator, and civil rights leader. He had been a classmate and friend of Martin Luther King Sr., and MLK Jr. had visited Howard Thurman when King was a student at Boston University. Thurman became a mentor and spiritual advisor to Martin Luther King Jr. and to other civil rights leaders. Life Goes On, the meditation of Thurman's I'll read today, might help us in this turn of the United States presidency. We will follow the reading with 1 minute of silence, hearing only the sounds around us. And then we will sing hymn 123, Spirit of Life. Here is Life Goes On by Reverend Howard Thurman, adapted for better gender inclusion. During these turbulent times, we must remind ourselves repeatedly that life goes on. This we are apt to forget. The wisdom of life transcends our wisdoms. The purpose of life outlasts our purposes. The process of life cushions our processes. The mass attack of disillusion and despair, distilled out of the collapse of hope, has so invaded our thoughts that what we know to be true and valid seems unreal and ephemeral. There seems to be little energy left for aught but futility. This is the great deception. By it, whole peoples have gone down to oblivion without the will to affirm the great and permanent strength of the clean and the commonplace. Let us not be deceived. It is just as important as ever to attend to the little graces by which the dignity of our lives is maintained and sustained. Birds still sing. The stars continue to cast their gentle gleam over the desolation of the battlefields. And the heart is still inspired by the kind word and the gracious deed. There is no need to fear evil. There is every need to understand what it does, how it operates in the world, what it draws upon to sustain itself. We must not shrink from the knowledge of the evilness of evil. Over and over, we must know that the real target of evil is not destruction of the body, the reduction to rubble of cities. The real target of evil is to corrupt the spirit of people and to give their souls the contagion of inner disintegration. When this happens, there is nothing left. The very citadel of a person is captured and laid waste. Therefore, the evil in the world around us must not be allowed to move from without to within. This would be to be overcome by evil. To drink in the beauty that is within reach, to clothe one's life with simple deeds of kindness, to keep alive sensitiveness to the movement of the Spirit of God in the quietness of the human heart and in the workings of the human mind. This is, as always, the ultimate answer to the great deception. Let's observe 1 minute of silence.
singing my heart, all the stirrings of compassion, blowing the wind, rising the sea, moving the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Today's reading is from Zane Grey, whom you may remember from a classic Western novel written more than 100 years ago called Riders of the Purple Sage. This piece he wrote has been called a recipe for greatness, but he didn't use those words. Here is a saying from Zane Grey adapted. To bear up under loss, to fight the bitterness of defeat and the weakness of grief, to be victor over anger, to smile when tears are close, to resist disease and evil people and base instincts, to hate hate and to love love, to go on when it would seem good to die, to seek ever after the glory and the dream, to look up with unquenchable faith in something even more about to be. That is what any person can do, and so be great.
When I thought about what to say on the day before the second inauguration of someone whom I think should never even himself have chosen to be a candidate, much less be elected by enough people twice to win in the Electoral College, because his ego smothers all possibilities of reasoned leadership, in my opinion, even in an ideological position with which I disagree. And while more customarily, I would leave more room for those of other views and remind us that we have political conservatives in Unitarian Universalism, because liberal religion is not a synonym for liberal politics. And that could be another dimension of church and state separation, if you think about it. I'm speaking to the hurting today, as I hurt too. Two words came to mind that might be guidance for us over the next however many years that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and Bernie Moreno and John Husted and even Mike DeWine and their acolytes, yes, I use acolytes in a way that narrows the church and state separation concept, as Christian nationalism is also now before us. Those two words are bear up. Those are words for the active resistors fighting for themselves and the people, and they're words for people who retreat in care for their own health in many dimensions. In a blurb to promote this sermon topic, I wrote, "Does bearing up mean to hibernate for 4 years, or to take up grizzly fierceness in resistance to expected changes. It depends on who you are, I stated, because we have different ways to keep our strength. I wrote, perhaps memories from the first term from 2017 to 2021, or more recent witnessing of campaigns and trials direct you to activism. Or fatigue from the seemingly relentless nationalism makes you need as much removal as possible from political mess. Following my blurb, I looked for bear up references. To bear up is to summon up courage, resolution, or strength, and to be effective or able to withstand something my trusted Merriam-Webster dictionary app includes among the definitions. That's the bear up of making it through, seeming more like having a bear's strength than choosing to hibernate. But I really want to affirm that for many people, probably more than we'd normally expect, turning away from what some forecast as a collapse of United States-style, still developing after 250 years, democracy of the people, by the people, for the people, and into an old way of lords and peons, turning away is what's needed personally for mere survival, even. That turning away might be being helped by changes in mainstream and social media, again controlled by ultra-rich people who decided that kowtowing to the egomania of the next president and supporting that ego with many of their billionaire amassed dollars was better than serving the ideals of what high technology could be as a world-changing system inclusive for all. In media, the turning away is helped, it seems, by changes in policy and coverage, not just for opinion journalism, but the foundational coverage of news and its being reliably fact-based. I'm starting to get in a quandary now, as I have a background in journalism, fact-checking, and research. A quandary now about my choices in media consumption. Will I continue with the subscriptions to the Washington Post and New York Times and the Blade, or choose not to follow news and opinion so closely? Will I even abandon what many people now seem to cite as their main source of news, The Daily Show on Comedy Central, as I might not want even to have comedy surrounding the issues in current events? Sometimes removing yourself is best for mental health. Don't accept the criticism from people saying all of us must be active in our resistance. We should resist, but for some of us, the best resistance is removal, or just taking up the challenges you know you can handle. This is going to be an especially active time of resistance in the face of rejection of the policies and programs we need and want for others, while actions favoring only a very few will be the controlling ones. Some of us will need to retreat into our own safe places, literal or conceptual, to bear up, rather than despair. But there will also be many people active in the resistance, fighting for the people. The Roman poet Virgil, in his book The Aeneid, which tells of the Trojan prince Aeneas who founds the city of Rome, has Aeneas say in a speech to his soldiers, "My comrades, hardly strangers to pain before now, we all have weathered worse. Some God will grant us an end to this as well. You've threaded the rocks resounding with Scylla's howling rabid dogs and taken the brunt of the Cyclops' boulders too. Call up your courage again. Dismiss your grief and fear. A joy it will be one day, perhaps, to remember even this. Through so many hard straits, so many twists and turns, our course holds firm for Latium. There, fate holds out a homeland, calm, at peace. There, the gods decree the kingdom of Troy will rise up again. Bear up. Save your strength for better times to come." There's a lot of navigation I might have to figure out to make a smooth transition here. And today I don't see how one day it perhaps will be a joy to remember these days. But after this time of conservatism that seems to be leading to authoritarianism, maybe fate does hold out a homeland, calm and at peace. So bear up. In my Seeking Bear Up references, I also found this from David McCullough from his book 1776 on the first year of the Revolutionary War. McCullough wrote, "Once during the siege of Boston, when almost nothing was going right, and General Philip Schuyler had written from Albany to bemoan his troubles, General George Washington had replied that he understood, but that we must bear up against them and make the best of mankind as they are, since we cannot have them as we wish." It was such resolve and an acceptance of mankind and circumstances as they were, not as he wished them to be, that continued to carry Washington through. "I will not, however, despair," he wrote now to Governor William Livingston. We don't have the people as we wish now. How, in 2025, do we make the best of them, of us, as they, as we are? Can we follow George Washington, who became our nation's first president, and not despair? Tomorrow, January 20th, is also Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a federal holiday honoring a person and his leadership in the civil rights movement. We might recall MLK's character, leadership, and inspiration as we bear up in 2025. He brought about change using a nonviolent approach with much activism, participation, involvement. His example, his teachings, and the teachings of his mentors continue to be wise. We can keep his ways as we move forward, bearing up in the ways we need. My words, instructions you might consider, are to take care of yourself over these next years. Some of us will advocate, some retreat, some will doom scroll, some be ever ready to be offended. And I do expect that there will be daily opportunities for some actions to be offensive. So don't get too worked up or too comfortable in choosing not to pay attention. Some of us will withdraw. Some concentrate on news and media, mainstream and social. Some people will do their best to ignore what's happening. And let them, us, all of those sums in their different ways, be the way they feel they can cope according to their own personality and character. Let me squeeze in a religious reference here. You know that Unitarian Universalism is a broad umbrella for liberal religious seekers and sometimes finders. Use this religion as a touchstone to keep all of your actions centered in love. Don't forget your faith, however that's expressed in your Unitarian Universalism, and love the nation into its better state, as long as that might take. Over the next however many years, I want to say 4, but I fear that there could be a President Vance in 2029, and that politician will continue in Trump mode and further bury the insight he once had as he wrote Hillbilly Elegy, published 9 years ago. As I've said, care for yourself and, as you can, care for others. I'm remembering that in 2017, at the beginning of the first term of the person to be inaugurated tomorrow, I had said that we've made it through bad administrations in the past and emerged all right. I'm glad that we did have these past 4 years with a democratic, diplomatic leader of all people whose time must temper the extremes that we might have had. And I'll hold to that however extreme we experience soon. At this time in 2025, though, I don't have much of the past confidence that we'll emerge all right. Authoritarianism and oligarchy are much worse than Reagan to Bush controversy, which itself was tempered by a Bill Clinton presidency. The post-Republicans, so much further to the political right, who have decided to support extreme ego, who we've seen doesn't even really care for his allies, they give me fear and might make any bearing up a hard thing to do. But bear up. For some, be fierce. For others, get enough rest to continue in the struggle. Whether you're active now, you're hibernating until you have the resolve, or you're dependent on others to do the work that you just can't for whatever reason. But you still, I hope, let them know of your support and appreciation. Just don't follow the bears that greedily get their hands and heads stuck in honey jars. Bear up, be brave, blessed be, and so be it.
Now is the time for our offering, to ask you in this room and those that are watching on the screen to honor the Toledo Unitarians in part through your generous financial giving. We're primarily a self-supporting congregation, so members' pledges are important to us, but it would be also helpful to put a little bit more in the basket. We'll pass the basket around in the sanctuary. And those of you seeing us on video, please use one of the suggested ways of giving that are on the screen. We also have a basket in the lobby for pledge payments and other donations. Thank you for helping Toledo Unitarians thrive. For our offertory hymn, let's sing number 23, Bring Many Names. But it's a long song. Let's sing only verses 1, 2, 3, and 6.
It's the coming soon part of our service where we tell you what's on the calendar for this week, we give some announcements, and we also let you know what's up for right after the service. Next Sunday, join us for Spiritual Forum in Fellowship Hall at 9:45 a.m. for the Phil Show, when Phil Park-Thomas and Phil Teitelbaum team teach a series they're calling Bible Babbling. This coming Sunday, I think we have Phil Park-Thomas on the 19 Gospels. If you thought there were only 4, you might attend and learn some history of Christianity. The publicity for this spiritual forum session includes that Phil Park-Thomas's talk will have discussion of who the real historical Jesus was and how the Roman destruction of the Jerusalem temple led to the formation of 2 modern religions. And for the 11 a.m. service on the 26th, I'll be talking about the Lunar New Year, a time of importance in some religions, in cultures, and in science.
Today at 5:30 p.m. here at First Unitarian, our men's group will have its monthly meeting. The purpose of the group is to build community, promote friendship, provide support for one another, and discuss issues relevant to Unitarian Universalism. It's an open meeting for people who identify as male. On Wednesday from 10:30 to 1 p.m. in Fellowship Hall, our church group that makes blankets for donation to Leading Families Home will be supporting their shelter, will gather to share company while making fringe and tying fleece to turn material into blankets. Again, that's Wednesday from 10:30 to 1. All are welcome, no special skills are necessary, but you do get extra points to bring sharp scissors. After the blanket making, the group usually goes out to lunch. I have a no announcement as well. The third Monday of the month, tomorrow, is normally when the local chapter of Together Women Rise meets here for food in Fellowship Hall and a bit of fundraising dedicated to achieving global gender equality. However, even though our media says meeting is on schedule, the Martin Luther King federal holiday and the bad weather mean that this month's meeting is canceled. There's still a grantee, however, which this month is Clean Start Africa. So if you'd like to support that, go to togetherwomenrise.org and make a contribution. You can also get more information from Susan Spiegel. The final coming soon entry is for me to repeat the invitation for you to join us in Fellowship Hall after today's service for coffee, conversation, and social time. Plus, Reverend Tim will be there for a sermon discussion starting at about 12:15 in Fellowship Hall. If you'd like to talk about what the sermon said today, please join him.
And let's have one more observance of spiritual practice. We have gone beyond ourselves with the pastoral time and turned within for meditation, contemplation, and prayer. Now recognizing the Buddhist thread in our congregation, and as I noted earlier, we will share a time of metta, having for and sending to all beings love, kindness, and compassion. Let's say these words together. May I, may we, and may all beings be well, be happy, be peaceful, be safe, awaken to the light of our true nature, and be free. And please join me in saying the words on the screen while Jarvis extinguishes the chalice. We send the flame from our Unitarian Universalist chalice with the love on which we center everything, to fire up the world and spread equity, generosity, interdependence, justice, pluralism, and transformation. Go in peace, holding, knowing, and centering love in your lives, and sharing love in your actions. Our recessional hymn is number 121, We'll Build a Land, which is based in part on passages from Isaiah and Amos that Martin Luther King Jr. included in his I Have a Dream speech. Some people adapt it for more inclusion for gender and theology, but feel free to say sisters and brothers anointed by God, or come build a land where siblings and cousins anointed by love. And for your own souls, bear up.